Secondly, I see in the minutes here our press release about our peak performance award. So we're really proud of this. We're back to gold. Gold means you had no permit excursions for the year. When I started, we had a handful of golds. Then really peak wet weather events caused us a lot of headaches in the plant, so we dropped down to silver for a couple of years, but back to gold. And my goal, I've said for a while now, is 5 golds in a row puts you to platinum. So that would be a really nice thing for us to get. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Brian? Terry?
No question, just a comment. Congratulations. Well deserved.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No other questions? We'll move on to the Peoria County Capital Project funding sources and progress. Scott, are you handling that or Shauna? Shauna, okay.
Good afternoon. The report is in your packet. If you have any questions, I can try to answer those at this time.
Are there any questions? Having none, we'll move on. Number 3, strategic plan for 2026 second quarter update. Melissa.
Good afternoon, everyone. In front of you, you have the second quarter strategic plan progress report. There's several items for the infrastructure committee that we have provided updates on, and a later agenda item is about the facilities roadmap. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Melissa? Sharon?
I have a question about Gift Avenue. I'm wondering where that is at because we're spending $35,000 a year on utilities. What is happening on that project?
At this point in time, the chairman and I've been in conversations with a local not-for-profit to potentially acquire the property, but there's no specific date or timeline on that. Additionally, the state's attorney's office, who has records in storage in the gymnasium, continues to either properly dispose under state law or convert to digital records, slowly but surely working their way through that. So there's still a need to have the building conditioned so that those paper records are able to be properly maintained. Once we have those records either properly disposed of or completely digitized, then the gymnasium will be empty of records, and we can then look to either work out an arrangement with the not-for-profit that Chairman Dillon and I have been talking to, or put it on the market, or demolish it. And obviously that's a policy discussion for this committee and the whole board at some point in the future.
But no specific timeline?
At this time, there is no specific timeline, correct.
Any other questions? All right, Melissa, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to resolutions. Could I have a motion, a second, to get the resolution on the floor for the motor fuel tax appropriation for Kerner Road resurfacing? Could I have a motion? Paul, second. Matt. Okay, if you want to follow us on page 26.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a resolution requesting motor fuel tax appropriation of $1.25 million for the mill and overlay resurfacing of Kerner Road. This is a 3-mile stretch of road that ties 2 state routes together, Route 8 and US 150 together. It takes a lot of traffic per day. We are, if approved, we would be looking at a bid letting later this year with construction in 2027. The process with IDOT, with the motor fuel tax to appropriate it takes a while to get the paperwork done, and that's why we're coming to you now to start that process. I'm happy to answer any questions on this.
Any questions for Amy? Having none, Amy? Okay, that's great. Let's move on to We got to vote. We already did that, didn't we? Okay, can we go ahead and have a vote for that? Jeez, it went off again. I don't know. I'll just tell Megan. And it's a deal right there.
Okay.
Mhm. He still doesn't do it. There we go. Okay, Megan. Okay, is unanimous for that vote. Okay, next item is the JDC existing conditions verification project definition phase work. Melissa, you're up and follow on page 31.
Thank you so much. I have in front of you today a design scope with Wold Architects for $35,000. If you remember in the 2026 capital plan that you approved, there was a little over $300,000 for the JDC. It was titled Surveillance, Access Control, and Automation. And this is really the beginning of that project. And we're hoping to work with Wold Architects, who is the architect that was selected for the jail master plan implementation. Right now, they're working on the kitchen addition and getting up to speed at the jail. And we thought there was some synergy there with them both understanding the security systems at the jail, getting to know Peoria County, and then many of those systems are similar to the JDC. They are experts in their field of justice architecture and these security technologies. And we see them as the right fit to help us address needs at the JDC. Their current system is at the end of its useful life and really needs a complete overhaul. So this first phase that we've scoped with Wold Architects is to identify the systems that they have and also create the program for what we need moving forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I also have Director Ryan Breedlove here as well.
Terry?
Yes, thank you for that question, Member Ruland. They are experts in jails nationwide, and they are getting up to speed on Peoria County and how our jail operates. Sorry.
Okay, I did mess up a little bit. I do need a motion to get that resolution on the floor in a second. Sharon?
Yeah.
Terry? Okay. Are there any other questions for Melissa?
Yeah, so I think that wording should be changed. I'm just going to say that because I talked to Terry and a couple of others about this wording, and it make it sound like they have no experience at all in jails. So it was very unclear to me when I read this agenda briefing. It was just unclear, and I assumed just from the way it was written, I thought they didn't have any experience with jails. So,
anyone else want to make a comment? Do you want to amend the resolution, Sharon?
For the resolution or the agenda briefing? Oh, I think that can be done clerically in the
Correct.
packet.
Yes. Yeah, because they're actually voting on the resolution, but we'll modify the agenda briefing in time for the county board packet for sure to reflect the discussion here.
Any other questions? Okay, let's vote. Yeah, I voted. Yeah. I did. I kept. Okay, passed. Okay, follow up on the next one to be the facilities roadmap. Can I have a motion and a second to get this on the floor? Terry, Paul. Okay, Melissa.
Are you sick of me yet?
No,
I'm
you got
ready
one more.
again.
You have two more.
So what you have in front of you is a 2026 strategic plan action item that we have named the facilities roadmap. And the goal was to get it to you all by the time that we are in our budget process so it can help inform the capital planning discussions. But really the goal of the facilities roadmap was to put in paper information that we have in different studies that have been commissioned by the county, and also to document institutional knowledge. The goal is to set a clear direction for all pieces of county real estate, whether it's to maintain investments, invest or divest. So I know Member Williams had a question previous about the facilities roadmap, but I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Are there any questions? Sharon?
Did I miss it, or is the Hannah City Work Camp mentioned here?
One moment.
Because I'm wondering where that project is at, because I know we had allocated money in the budget last year for this year to tear some of those facilities down. So since that is a property of Peoria County, I think it probably should be included here.
Yes, Member Williams, you are correct. It should be included in this packet and is an oversight, or I'm fumbling through pages right now and missing it. But I'm happy to give you an update. We originally were moving towards bulk demolition for the Hannah City Work Camp, which bulk demolition means that everything is presumed asbestos, so it's a more expensive demolition process because they pick everything up and they take it to the special landfill that accepts asbestos, and that costs you more money. After speaking with some experts in demolition, they really thought that, and a site tour, they thought that many of the buildings on site were safe enough to abate before demolition. So I've since been in contact with abatement specialists to try to develop a scope. That's taken a little bit longer than I wanted to just because of their workload. But the hope is to still get a demolition bid that includes abatement prior to demolition out sort of for the fall season, which is also could be advantageous for the county because people want to do demolition in the summertime. So to push stuff to the shoulder seasons might get us a more competitive bid. So that's where we are right now with Hannah City.
I appreciate that thorough explanation. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Having none, let's vote. It still goes back. ABC doesn't move forward. can't read. Was that unanimous? I can't read it from here.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. If anyone following page 52, the Peoria County Jail Generator Transfer Switch. Melissa, can I have a motion to put that on in a second? Paul? Terry? All right, Melissa.
Thanks again. This item is in front of you. We had an emergency situation at the jail a few months ago in which there was a loss of power that affected the SP and CH wings, and the generator kicked on as it does when there's a loss of power. But the emergency situation happened when the grid power was restored and the generator did not switch back off and onto the grid power. The faultiness, the transfer switch failed in that situation, and there was a surge that resulted in a total loss of the transfer switch. We used our T&M contractor Oberlander to get us back onto the grid and then work on replacing the transfer switch. Luckily, because of some renovations done about 10 years ago, we had an extra transfer switch, which in this case was really advantageous to us because those are one of those really long lead items in construction schedules. And so they were able to replace the transfer switch, and it has since been recertified. So the project was deemed an emergency, but is being brought to your committee because it is beyond Administrator Sorrell's spending authority. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I will say I'm not the subject matter expert on this project.
Member Williams.
Thank you. So this was a transfer switch that was not being used, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so then is there any other additional work that we're going to have to do in that, on the generator, or anything else that we need to be aware of?
Member Williams, I don't see any additional work on the generator right now to keep it operational. I think when we get to the second phase of the jail master plan, there will be evaluation on whether we want to update this generator because it's original to this side of the jail. I'm forgetting what year that was.
All right, Member Rulon.
Just a consideration, the fact that we happen to have a spare transfer switch was, in my mind, a minor miracle. So should we consider buying another backup? Because we can't, in a power outage, can't operate without it if we get another failure. It's great that we had one. It would be great next time too. So if it's feasible, I think we should be asking that question of the contractors. Can they order another one for us? Should we order another one? What's the professional opinion about that? So
Yeah.
just to leave that there.
Yeah, Member Rulon, that's a great question, and I'll be happy to take that back to the team. I know it's mentioned in the report that our generators are tested on a regular basis, but this was a failure at the transfer switch when grid power was down, and I don't think you can really simulate that in a testing environment, but these are all good questions to ask, and I'll make sure to do so.
Any other questions? Having none, let's vote. Looks unanimous again. Okay, following next one, item page 81, courthouse freight elevator repairs. Can I have a motion in a second? Sharon? Member McCann, okay. Go
Thanks
ahead,
again.
Lisa.
We have in front of you a resolution to work with Kone for about $125,000 to update our freight elevator to get it back to operational status. You probably walked past the freight elevator many times if you use the back parking lot. And it has not been working for several months. We worked with Kone and talked to them about two options to replace the freight elevator is $400,000. But this is a little bit of a overhaul to make it operational at $125,000. It's one of those things you don't know you need until you really need it. And at this point, there's been a few times where we've had larger pieces of equipment for the mechanical room that that need the freight elevator versus the passenger elevator. And we've been in situations to essentially dissect things in the parking lot and put them back together in the mechanical room to get them down in smaller pieces, which voids the warranty, or we're taking things that do fit down the passenger elevators, and it's causing more wear and tear on those because of just the weight in those elevators. So this resolution is in front of you. It will get the freight elevator operational again. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Member Williams.
How old is that elevator?
Well, it was originally installed when this side of the building was built in the mid 1960s. I don't know if it's been refurbished since that time.
So we have a team that met and decided that this was the best path forward instead of replacing it?
I think the rehabilitation that's proposed will give us a significant amount of extended life. And what's unallocated in the capital budget or what is affordable currently in the capital budget is that 125,000 falls within that allotment. If the policy decision was to go to the full-blown replacement, we'd probably have to cut an existing capital project that you had approved during last year's budget process.
So are there any plans to do anything with the elevators right out here? Is that future plans because I know one of the elevators is out.
So the passenger elevators in the building were completely refurbished and rehabilitated in either the late aughts or the early teens, and that was the first time those have been done since original installation. And then the electronics of the cars have also been replaced at least once since that major overhaul. With one being down today, it's either a maintenance issue or something along those lines. It wasn't anything tied to some major failure or something like that.
I was just concerned because we had been using that sort of as a freight elevator. So I was worried about the stress of what's been happening with those elevators.
Correct. So we use Kone for all of our elevators. It's through a national cooperative purchasing contract through the National Association of Counties. And there are regular inspections. And then the state fire marshal certifies every elevator annually. So at this point in time, we'll monitor through those monthly inspections or regular inspections that Kone does as our vendor for that work. And if we see additional stress, then we'll create a capital project going forward to address it.
Any other questions? Having none, let's vote. I voted. Give me a, yeah. Thumbs up. Okay, looks like it's unanimous again. Okay, we'll go on to committee action. Review executive session minutes. Turn it over to Jenny.
Thank you. This is your biannual review of your executive session minutes, and it is the recommendation of the state's attorney's office that all previously held minutes continue to be held because the need for confidentiality still exists, and to destroy the executive session audio recordings that are more than 2 years old, except for those that relate to pending litigation.
Any questions? Yeah, I need a motion in a second. Sharon, Paul. Any other questions? Let's vote. Didn't move forward. Do I have to go back out again? Go back out. It's right here. There you go. Okay. Okay, that passed. All right, is there any public comment? Having none, any miscellaneous? Just member Rulon.
I just want to comment, the Hannah City Work Camp page notwithstanding, this is an excellent document. I think we should all read it and memorize every page. It's going to be very helpful going forward. Thanks, Melissa.
Any other comments? Okay, we're adjourned.